Just make sure that we're working.
You're correct. Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And then have you started the live stream?
That's what I was just trying to do. So,
Okay.
I got a screen that says enable live streaming, live events, do it live. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Where I clicked on it, I wanted to make sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do this as myself though, right?
Right. You need to say you need to select Dunn County if it's there.
Yeah, it wasn't there. It just gave me a,
And then can you do add, say it's not me, or just so that you get a different login?
okay. I can use a business or other name.
Yeah, other name.
Okay.
Does Dunn County come up for you then?
No, it doesn't. I can add it. Can I type right in there?
You can try, but I'm not sure if it will work. Otherwise, I can
Okay.
go over and go for it if you like.
Why don't you go for it? Because I don't want to create another account out there.
Okay, I'm gonna
I
leave
will
and,
close out of this one.
okay, I'm gonna leave and come right back in.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. Just bear with us, everybody.
Okay, we're having an issue, so I think let's just go ahead with the recording and start your meeting. If I can get it to work, I will, but you should go ahead and start, and we'll post it after the fact.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I
Mhm.
wondered because I got screens that I didn't get before, so.
Okay.
All right, thank you, LuAnn. Well, it being a 5:03, we'll call our meeting to order for tonight. Sam, do you want to note that Cheyenne is excused? She had a work meeting that came up today. And I guess Justin's not here, but I believe everybody else is here. Approval of minutes. The minutes were emailed last week to you. Have you had a chance to read those? And if so, I have entertain a motion to accept them.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
All right. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Is there any other comments? If not, all in favor to approve the minutes, say aye.
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 All right. Sounds good.
Yep.
Thank you.
Deb, if you can make me host
Yes.
again, I can start the recording or start the live stream.
Okay. Should be good, LuAnn.
Okay, thanks. I'll give it another try, but go ahead and continue.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next on our agenda is staff reports. Scott, do you have any good news to tell us? No, Scott Nabbefeld.
I really don't have much. Not much has changed a whole lot. As far as facilities, we, dealing with the whole COVID thing, and obviously, most people know about the whole situation of the racetrack and their racing season. Meetings on that. We do have the rec park is closed, and all the meetings for the buildings and the grounds have been canceled or rescheduled out into July until we see where this is going and know what we can do. Other than that, it's been pretty much business as normal, trying to keep the grass down and keep things looking nice.
Okay, great. Scott, I have a question for you. Do you know if that poultry and pigeon show that's always in the fall, have they scheduled that or plan on doing that this year?
That I don't know. I have to check on that and see.
Okay,
Being that's in the fall and that far out, I don't know if it has been scheduled or if it's where it's at. So I can check
Okay.
into that and find out.
yep. That was usually in September.
Yeah. Because
Okay.
we usually still had
Just
the
so-
water turned on for that. So that was in September.
Okay. The reason I ask is because I got to thinking about the dog show. You know, if we move that and have it in September, we want to make sure that we communicate that date or make
Yep.
sure we don't fall on the same date. And I also
Sure.
got a request to borrow our cages for some other poultry show, and I'll bring that up later so we can decide for another show in another part of the state. And I'm not real fond of sending our cages a long ways away. So we'll talk about that a little bit later during the meeting, but just wanted to check if they've scheduled theirs yet. So,
Yeah, I haven't heard of anything. I'll check in with Marge, see if she knows anything. Otherwise, we'll check
Okay.
in with them and see what their plans are.
okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Louisa? Yep. Louisa?
Okay, like Scott, hi, can you hear me now? Like Scott, I don't have a lot to report. There have been a lot of COVID-19 meetings. 4-H is not meeting during the month of June in person at all, and July looks like it's going to stay with very small numbers, special exceptions, and no contact. Their idea of no contact is sort of like a youth, their parent, and a project person working on something where they're 6 feet apart, and so it's kind of a very limited sort of vision of getting back together. So there's a lot of paperwork involved if you want an exception to that, and we're learning more about that. We're having trainings on it. They've gone through a lot of iterations on all the questions they have to ask, because being part of UW-Madison, there's a lot of layers of legal and safety and health that has to be considered. So that's kind of what we're working on right now. And as far as extension office, just to let you know, Michelle Bashan is in the extension office now every day by herself as a county employee. She's in there. If you want to visit, you do need an appointment, because anybody in that county building does need to meet people at the door, and there's paperwork to fill out as well, as far as health and that type of thing. Masks are worn in the building. So when the rest of the extension office comes back, I'm not exactly sure when that will be, but there are going to be procedures that we're expected to follow for the safety of the public and ourselves. So most of everything else I will find out more today from your meeting, and of course the meat animal committee meeting that follows this.
Okay, sounds good. we're gonna skip Sam for just a minute. She sent me a message that she has a little one that's not cooperating right now, so she'll be right back shortly. So if we can move into the 2020 fair plan discussion, or maybe what we need to do first is just address the issue with the people that want to borrow our cages. Hang on a second, let me get that email. It's the Northwoods Poultry Fanciers Club, and they are looking to start a new poultry show in Merrill, which is a few hours away from here. They are looking for cages. I don't know what your thoughts are, but I think we have typically shared equipment and cages back and forth with counties surrounding us because it's easier to keep track of. But I guess I'm not real in favor of sending cages to Merrill, Wisconsin. I guess I'd just like to know what the rest of your thoughts are regarding that. So I can reply back to him.
I agree with
Anybody
you.
have
I
any
What's
say
the
no.
question, Deb?
The only other thing I have to add to that is, were they offering for something, and they just wanted us to donate that?
They said that they would pay a fee, but
But then
they
you
said
got
they
to
prefer
worry.
to just borrow them, but if they have to, they would pay a fee.
Yeah, the only problem with that is the back and forth between animals, sanitizing and all that stuff. So I say no.
Okay. Anybody else have any thoughts? Scott, Scott Nabbefeld, you would probably be, it says in September, by the way, so it could be that it would be the time of the poultry show, so maybe we can just use that as a reason too.
I guess I would put out there as a no too. If it was something closer, a county closer, we'd be more apt to do it, more local. Being a longer ways away, then it's a hassle to get them back. If there's, if they're dragging their feet to getting them back. Yeah, the other poultry show in the fall could use that as an excuse just to say, hey, we have this one going on at that time, and they're being used.
Yeah. Yep. So. Okay, sounds good. If that's a consensus, then I will just email him back and let him know that. I don't know, to me, it's hard to organize a show at this time with all the COVID, everything that's going on, but they're trying. Okay. Sam, we kind of went on to that question. So did you have anything that you wanted to bring up?
Nothing really new. I was contacted by a couple more judges saying like either they could or couldn't come judge. So that's about it.
All right. Okay. And I haven't talked to Sam since I met with Marge today. We're sending the money. We have a plan created to send money back to any of our vendors. So Marge is doing the processing in SAP to get that money returned to any of our food vendors and our commercial vendors that rented space from us. And I'll work with Sam over or tomorrow or next week right away to put together an email to send to those vendors and let them know to be watching for a check, refund check. I think it's just easier that way than trying to hold that money over till next year with the budgeting process that the county uses and the financial process that they have. So we'll put together some contact information and get that money refunded back to them. So 2020 fair plan discussion. And before we get too deep into that, I have been in contact with KT. Been visiting with her, weekly, or if not, maybe a couple times a week, just to see where the status is right now. There was a new health alert that she issued on June 2nd, and that one had the 10 inside, 20 outside, and to kind of, really watch what you're doing and so forth. So far, she's still okay with what we're thinking of doing. She's watching the data really close and might put out a new alert on Monday, that public gatherings can increase to 25 indoors and 50 outside. Of course, that all depends on what happens between, the next few days with the protests and different things that went on. So that's good news for us. But like I have told KT is that, we'll still plan for the worst and hope for the best. That's where we're at. That still won't change things as far as opening up the shows and stuff to the general public. We'll still use that same premise, but it does allow us to work a little bit easier with the animal exhibits if we can put a few more people in the show ring. So I thought that was good news. I'll let you know if, and well, I guess you guys would see it too, because she puts it on Facebook and broadcasts her information, her alerts out there. So you can kind of keep watching for that. So what's out there? So and I thought we needed a place to start. So I threw this 2-page document together a little bit to kind of as a conversation point. I guess it's not set in stone. It's not perfect. And I would open it up now to have some input from the rest of the group. What don't they like? What do they like? What did I miss? What things do we need to include in there that I didn't include in there? Hopefully you all have that document in front of you that you can reference. And I guess we'll open it up to general discussion then. Deric, if you have any input on anything that you found out recently, or Troy, as far as the meat animal part, we can start there.
Deric, you
Yep.
I talk about it because I think you've been in contact with the meat lockers and stuff like that. I think, and that's kind of, you might as well just tell them what you know, right?
Yeah, the meat locker plants, as we discussed last time, are wanting to have, if we're going to do the shows and stuff with the beef and the goats and the sheep, they want it to be done by 3 if they can on a Friday. And it's something I've talked to you guys about. Saturday with the pigs, it's going to end up being around the same time. With the goats and sheep, going to have to be on that Friday also. As far as the meat locker plants, they are happy to assist us in what we're doing. We just need a decision to be had, and we'll probably get that tonight by the meat animal committee, so we can get these kids that are calling the meat locker plants and asking, about getting their animal in, and they're holding off for us because we haven't, or the meat animal committee hasn't thrown anything out there yet, and people are starting to get nervous. So I have that, something that we really need to get going. So that's on my end. I did receive a few emails that I had shared with Troy and Deb as far as from the meat locker plants, as far as cutting instructions, sheets, wording that they had said, nothing that we already don't know. We appreciate everything they're doing and realize that they can, that they're helping us, and that they can make a lot more at this time than dealing with us. But it's very peaceful knowing that that they're willing to help the kids too. I know that one of them was pretty upset about a few other fairs being shut down and no place to go with their animals. And right now we're going forward, and we just have to hope that decision comes pretty soon with the meat animal committee. Any questions?
Deric, and I would say by the end of tonight, by the end of this Zoom meeting, I think there'll be an answer and be cleared up that what's going to happen. So hopefully by Friday or by Monday we can put something out there.
Yeah, I'd really like to get the meat locker plants called too back, because they're wondering too. They're wondering what we're doing. What are the times? What are the days? What did you tell the kids? So yeah, we just that's our biggest holdup right now on this end, and I think they all deserve an answer.
I think though too, Deric, is that the meat animal, if you have the timing of the shows and all that stuff, you know, the meat locker is just going to go, or the meat animal committee is just going to go along with it. You know what I mean? That you guys do what you guys need to do, and our decision, I don't think would have a big effect, you know, on, you know, showtime or anything like that, or what time they're going to go to the meat lockers or leave or anything like, you know, on that end.
I think that sounds great. Hopefully something can get done with it tonight then. Is there any questions from the rest of the committee or?
Are we still looking at, as far as a schedule, Saturday for hogs and Friday for beef?
Yep, that's what I said. Yep. And then the
Okay.
goats and sheep, we just gotta, I don't know, as kind of squeeze in there. We can have them over by the horse arena or something, and the horses can do their Wednesday, Thursday. They're also waiting for us to make a decision on what we want to do. So that was the next piece after I was done with the meat animal portion.
Okay.
The horses, they're waiting for us to make that decision on what we're going to do, so they can do something. They have some private rides. I think Louisa talked about that last time. They have done them. A few people have, and they know what's coming. And what we're asking for is to have that. I'm drawing a blank. The sheet signed, saying that they have so much ride time. Correct? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so-
it's a safe night
So,
ride.
but quick
That's
question.
it. Yep.
Quick question on that. They can't use the county grounds if they're closed, correct? Right, Scott? They're closed for June, so the arena can't be used for safety rides or.
At this point for June, the rec park is closed, so all events are to be rescheduled out until June 26th, unless something changes on that beforehand.
Okay, so Deric, you're not talking about anything happening right now. You're talking about like that after if the county is open after January 26th.
That's
Because I
correct.
had thought that they were doing everything virtually right now.
Yep.
Okay.
You're correct.
Yeah, and I think, weren't they talking about trying to go a little bit later, or are they still trying to go with the show now and at the same time as the fair?
They were still trying to think that they can do the show at about the same time as the fair. I mean, that's what they want to do. And we're just waiting for. We know June 26th is the date when they can open up. But as of right now, that's what they told me. So.
Okay. All right. Because I know we threw it out there to do it in the fall. So.
Yeah, I asked them that
Okay.
and that's what they said.
All right. Sounds good. Of course, we can make that decision for them, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
All right. So, so as far as if you have that sheet in front of you for show day, then the individual species is under development, of course, and we'll know that answer right now. We're looking at hogs and beef and then sheep and goats. Would we move those to Thursday, or do you think they would go to Sunday, Deric? Is that what you're thinking? When you're going to pull them in, or
Yep,
go at night?
Friday would be the beef. Yep, and then the goats and sheep, the meat locker plant was wondering if we can throw them in if we did them at two ends of
locations?
the there you go.
Okay.
And wonder if we can do them at the same day so they can load everything up. And then the pigs
sure.
would be Saturday morning and want them out of there by 3 in the afternoon on both species, or all species, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Just so I wrote my notes here in the right spot here. Okay. All right. So I think we talked a little bit about putting the animals that'll be in the trailer. We have the gates, the portable sheep pens that we can let them borrow if they need something, because obviously we don't want them in a hot trailer sitting. So they can, you know, put those up on the shady side of the trailer and put their animals there. I just assume not use any of the buildings if we don't have to, because we do have the ability then to have, you know, a few more people there. If we have to, we'll have to use the dairy beef barn as a backup if it does rain.
Is it possible
Is there anything?
that, oh, sorry, is it possible that we can use that hoop barn for anything and stay out of the upper barn? And that way your cleanup is very minimal. And then
Yep.
you know, you're running the oaks, the show underneath the oaks, if that's what our plan is, and we can still use that as a lane, and we're loading up the stuff as soon as we're done. So we're creating the atmosphere that there's going to be a lot less people there as to start with. You know, you that first class gets done, they load up, they go, and that's what we're creating. So if we can use that lower barn, we can stay out of the top barn.
Exactly.
Yep. Okay. And I guess the pig people, I guess I had in my notes that just when you were talking about it, had asked, you know, if they cleaned up as far as, you know, first come, first served, would it be okay to use some of them pens in the barn and the original hog barn? Then that's the question that I have to ask for you guys. If they stayed, you know, every other pen, I don't know. That's something we need to talk about.
Mhm. Yep, and as long as we don't make assignments by clubs or anything, then we're covered a little bit with them not being a 4-H, falling under the 4-H part, because they're just then individual exhibitors. They're not part of a club per se, which will help with that. And I think we have to, you know, we can use that. That barn is pretty doggone open. It's a lot open, and then everything is contained in one area.
You're right.
So yeah, those two buildings were the two that I thought we'd possibly use.
Yeah, I
and
don't
just
think
keep
we.
the dairy beef barn as a backup
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
case of rain.
Okay. And it's still
Yeah.
okay with Scott if we use the wash rack up there for these when they come in? Is that okay? Up by the dairy beef barn?
Yeah, using the wash rack should be perfectly fine.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
We just might have to, they might just have to wait a little bit.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
Wait their turn.
Yeah, so many people allowed in there at a time or something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
My dog started barking, sorry.
That's okay.
Shut my door.
So when I'm trying to understand the, so when you say like the hogs in the hog barn separated, one stall away from each other, are those hogs waiting for their class to show? So they're out of the trailer, they're in the hog barn, they'll be in a show, they go back onto a trailer, they go to the meat locker?
Correct. It's just somewhere
Am
to
I
speed up
understanding
that show.
the
Yeah, we're just
sequence
trying
of
to
how that
speed
would
it up.
work?
Yep, you just have it, you know, the front half,
So you're,
these go in, and then the back half, they're on deck, so we're not waiting, and we can keep the show moving along is what I was thinking. And that way they're still going out, and we can come bring them back and load them right up on that trailer. Is that okay?
okay.
Mhm.
Did
Yep.
KT issue suggestions for like distancing, masks, that type of thing? Or are we just going to assume that it's a smaller group, it's July? I'm just wondering if you're planning for, like you said, plan for the worst and hope for the best.
Yep, and then if you saw that, you know, face coverings, I don't want to call them masks, but coverings, and everybody social distance, no general public there, immediate family only, which means no grandparents, no cousins, it'd be just like the parents and the kids, or whoever's hauling that animal or whatever. So that's the plan and how we
Right.
presented it to KT.
Okay.
Would the hog barn be
Thank you.
considered
Thank you for
indoor?
clarifying that.
Hi, Scott. Scott Bear.
Yeah. Is like the hog barn and the hoop barn, would those be considered indoors or outdoors?
I would consider them outdoors because they are open aired. There's no sides per se on them as much. They have a roof, especially the hoop barn. That one is wide open without sides. And I think we can use the other one as consider it open, but just, stall them every other pen or something, so they are a little bit further apart. So.
And correct, there will be
Okay.
no auction then?
Correct.
There will be no live auction.
No live auction.
No auction at all though, right?
Right.
Well,
Right.
voting on that tonight, there's going to be no auction at the fairgrounds. The only
Right.
option might be something online or, whatever. That's what we're discussing tonight, but nothing at the fairgrounds.
Yep. Yeah. When I was speaking, I was referring to the live auction where we get lots of people attending.
Are all the classes of livestock going to be open, or is it going to be limited to certain classes?
There will be no group classes, for example, like no pens of pigs, no club herds, any of that type of activities. So it'd be strictly like a gilt or a breeding stock animal, and however we break them up. And we can break those classes down so we can even meet the 10-person criteria in a show ring at a time if we have to. We have that ability to break a class if we get entries, and it's usually if you have over a certain number of entries, they allow you to break the classes, but the state has become real lenient this year with allowing other ways to get around the requirements that we have to meet. So, but there will be no little britches this year, nothing like that where you would end up bringing a lot of people in. Did I get that right, Deric?
You got it right. Yep. Now I don't
All
have
right.
anything else to add to that.
Okay, sounds good. Dog show, Sandy is still, working towards a July 13th date to start her training, running for 10 weeks, depending on what the county orders are at the time. If she can't start on July 13th, then there will be no dog show in the fall. So usually there's typically 14 weeks as it says on there, but she will condense it down to 10 and work in small groups. Louisa, you might know for sure, but I think there's 4 trainers that they have on the dog project that work, so they can divide that up pretty small with the different groups. Is that correct? Do they still have 4 trainers?
Yeah, I think the plan, I'm not sure, but I know that Sandy is, she's very aware of needing to work in smaller groups. So her fear is for safety, that they normally have all those weeks to prepare and for people to feel confident with their dogs. So I think she's going to make that judgment call based on the health department, whether they can get together and do the number of trainings that she feels is minimally okay. And she was not comfortable under those 10 weeks to do it. So yeah, I'm sure she'll be counting on all of her adult volunteers and her youth leaders to help make that all happen. But again, they were doing things in pretty big groups there. It's a big project. So they're going to have to figure out how to separate that.
Correct. Okay, so the horse show is still, that was the next item on that list, and that's still to be determined. I don't know if you had anything to add there, Deric, or we just skip it and come back to it, or go back, continue working on it with
Yeah,
the
we're gonna have
project
to
leaders?
continue to work on it with the project leaders until we know what they can do. Yep.
Okay. Yep. And as far as map, the rest of that, okay, go ahead, Scott.
I had one more question for Deric. I know you've been talking to the locker plants. If there is a family, because I have a couple of families say that they don't plan on doing anything anymore with what's going on, is there still room for those animals if they don't bring them to the fair?
As far as another fair, or as far as our fair?
Our fair, you
Okay.
know.
Yep.
Like people that no matter what happens, like they've said they don't want to partake, which is fine. And they were just wondering, have the locker plants kept room for those animals too, if they don't bring them to the show?
Well, what we had discussed with the locker plant to keep everything at bay, so that didn't happen because it could be just as easy for all of them just to go right to the locker plant and we wouldn't have anything, and it'd be a chaos through them. At least this is organized chaos. If the locker plants, as they're saying to me, is to bring them to the fair. We have all the people that with the cutting instructions, rather than you're having a trailer here, there every day. They want this show. It's easier on them. It's all at once.
Yep.
They're not coming in or out. So the answer to the question is they prefer for us to have this show.
Okay, so like the couple people I've talked to, they should probably just call the locker plants themselves.
Yeah, and have to get a date if they choose
Yep.
not to come.
Yep. Okay.
Deric, though, is it
Alright.
something, you know, in a situation like that, and it's something we'd have to talk about at the committee meeting tonight, that if the animals, yeah, I guess I don't know how to.
Well, how do you know? Then the next person could just do the same thing and say, well, I
Right.
don't feel like going, and then they go, and then, you know, my word to Jake and Randy is, you know, out the door. So I don't want to make them upset.
And I think as with the meat animal project, that we need to keep a handle on it. So that way, just because otherwise somebody could just bring in 10 pigs and say, hey, this is, you know, from the meat animal project or whatever from Dunn County. And, you know, they have no clue who, you know, we got to keep a handle on it.
They're from-
And that's what tonight is just supposed to discuss about with your meat animal committee, because I believe Tina had the numbers and the amount for each family. So we will know that tonight when we're done with this meeting going forward. So that decision can be made pretty fast.
Okay. Any other questions about animals? Okay. Martha, did you have a chance to read the non-animal piece since you and Cheyenne are gonna kind of work on this? What are your thoughts on the schedule that I kind of threw out there? I don't know if that's right or wrong. Is that enough time, do you think, to get exhibits dropped off and collected?
I can't really answer that. For what I've been dealing with at work right now with all the high school students picking up stuff or dropping off stuff, there's always we've had to quarantine stuff for 2 days. Stuff that's coming into our building, we have to set it aside in a box and quarantine it before we're allowed to touch it. So I don't know. I'm kind of, I don't know what to say about it. If we can have that stuff come in on a Monday and then sit there for 2 days, if that's still the rules that apply, and then they come and then they're judged and then they come pick it up again. I don't know.
That's probably
I'm not sure we're
question.
doing the right thing.
Okay, good. That was a good point, Martha. Thank you. How about I run that past KT and get her thoughts on that? Whether we have to quarantine exhibits coming in, non-animal exhibits coming in? Would that work, do you think?
Right. Yeah. So I know we've had, when kids are dropping off homework, it has to be quarantined. And maybe that doesn't apply anymore, and yay if it doesn't, but if it does, then that kind of stuff just is gonna sit there. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because then that changes the whole thing, so they could still drop stuff off on Monday and Tuesday, but we wouldn't be able to touch it till like Wednesday or Thursday to even sort it, to get it even in order to do some judging. So.
Exactly.
Which I guess it can work. We just
and
have to
if some
spread
of
it
them
out.
are bringing, you know, food.
Yeah. It sits there 2 days before it even gets looked at. Well, that was another thing that one of the other fairs that was trying to do the same is they're not even allowing the judges to taste the food. Just going to judge it on appearance only. So.
Which a lot of times they do now already anyway.
Yeah, right. Okay, I will follow up with KT and see what her thoughts are on that. if we should do that. And I can just shoot an email back out to people to let them know what I find out from her. She's pretty receptive about, or pretty fast about getting back to me, so. But otherwise,
Okay.
the exhibitors remain in their vehicles and enter a family at a time, and then we'll have very limited people in there. And of course, we've got a huge ice arena. We've got the concession stand area. We've got locker rooms, and we've got the Finetti community room. So we have a lot of space in there that we can really spread this, spread people's projects out and to try to get some of this judged. I know Sam is waiting to contact back with judges with a changed schedule. We were hoping that if we hire a judge that they can judge multiple projects and we can get them there like to start maybe 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, and they would judge until like 4 or 5. And, before, if they just judged woodworking, but they're certified in other projects, maybe they'll do woodworking, electricity, and aerospace, and, more projects than what they've done in the past, to try to limit the interaction. So I hope that will work. And I know I think, Sam, you've had people tell you that too, that they would be willing to judge more than what they typically have judged when they've came to the fair before. So. Okay. Anything else on that schedule?
As far as the rabbits and the poultry, I guess.
Oh, yes.
Um,
Yeah. How did I forget that? Small
That's
animals, yes.
Yeah. So I was kind of tentatively thinking to keep those two apart and have because if I'm not mistaken, the rabbit show is a little bit bigger than everything else, correct? Okay, so
Yeah.
keeping them on a Wednesday and the other ones on a Tuesday, but what's your guys' opinion about that? It doesn't throw
We do have
wrench in Sam's
families. Sorry. We do have families with youth that have poultry and rabbits, since the small animal project includes both. So I don't know if that's better to keep them on the same day or keep them separate. I just mentioned that from the 4-H perspective of the small animal project, that some of those families do keep both the birds and the
Yep.
and
But I think
there's still
Louisa,
going to
with
be
the-
the specialty,
Mm-hmm.
the I can't remember what they're called, exotic, and
Yeah.
like things like iguanas and
What are you watching?
I think we almost have to keep the two big ones, rabbits and poultry, separate days, just because of the sheer number of entries we have. And we know how long did that rabbit show run last year, Sam? Wasn't it like 8 hours? Or Deric or Troy, do you remember how long that went? I know one year it went way, way late, just because of the sheer number of animals.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea on that. Troy, would you know? You're up there quite a bit.
It did seem to last year did seem to take a long time.
Yeah.
The other
And
thing,
we're gonna really have to have. Okay, go
Derek,
ahead.
the other thing I forgot to ask you about when we were talking about like not so much the pigs, but like say the beef and the sheep and goats, is coordinating, or what are we doing with the kids that plan on going to state fair?
There is no state fair.
fair.
They're not doing anything for the youth exhibitors.
Nope, it's canceled completely.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay. I'll just add that to that list and we'll have to set up a schedule. That one will have to, you know what, it could, I don't know. That's huge, that list, or the rabbit exhibitors and poultries. We'll know a little bit more too once fair entry is open and we move forward and we know how many entries we have. That'll help a lot with how to stagger that judging.
Do we have judges lined up for everything already?
Yes.
I have
Yeah.
almost all the judges lined up, but now I'm getting some that want to cancel because they're not doing any fairs anymore this year and whatnot. And then if we change our judging times, like we're going to, I have to reconfirm with everybody to make sure that they'd still be able to obviously come.
Which that has to happen pretty quickly here. But keep in mind too, with all the other fairs that have canceled in the area and around us, that there's going to be more judges to pick from now too, where we were the same date as at least two county fairs that were within easy driving distance, and we a lot of times share those judges. So those fairs have canceled now. So hopefully we'll have access to a few more judges that we can spread it out more. We also have the big building. Yep, go ahead, Scott.
Okay, so we have to practice social distancing, right? So
Yep.
how are thinking about the sheep show? They put their hands on the sheep and they're, feet apart. How is that going to work when they can't stay 6 feet apart during the show?
Like the judge, you mean the judge and the,
like
the animal? Yep, okay.
Right.
They might, oh, okay, go ahead, finish your question, sorry.
That was my question, because that's been something that's been
Okay.
brought up.
Okay, we did talk about that at one of our calls that we had at the state level, and another fair that is going the same route we are from the eastern part of the state has asked their judges that it's going to be a sight only. They won't be able to feel like the sheep or feel everything, and that way they can just observe from a distance. It'd be kind of doing almost like a virtual type of judging where you videotape it all and send it to the judge and he looks at it, but at least this way they can actually tell the kids to walk this way or walk that way, so they can see it a little bit easier that way. I understand rabbits and poultry is more hands-on, and that other fair that was doing that got the okay from the county that the judge and the exhibitor could be closer as long as they were wearing masks, and that we had hand sanitizer available for them to use.
And then I'm assuming no way in anything?
No way in?
Yeah, for any
Is
of
that
the
what you said?
Correct.
No.
Yeah, no, there will be no way in this year.
Are you going to clarify weights or what, Troy?
Yeah, well, I think, I guess on my end with, there not being a live auction at the fair, I guess, on the timing of the show and everything, I just, I don't see why we need to, maybe we need to declare weights, maybe, I guess I don't know what are your thoughts on that, but to set up the scale and just the extra time to run all those animals through, through the scale and everything, that'd take a lot of time when we're trying to get a show done by 3:00.
Yeah, you can declare weights. I mean, but that's something you guys have to discuss how you want to do it. Am I wrong or?
I would say that'd be more you guys. We don't have. You're breaking the show apart. You're about the show. We're the meat animal is the auction.
But as far as the shows, we need weights in order to break down the classes. So we would have to have them declare if we don't have them go across the scale. And with some exhibitors, I mean, my only thing is that they don't know the difference between 1,300 and 1,100. I guess I don't know how else to get around that unless they take them somewhere. I mean, it's a good question. I was just underneath the assumption that we were still weighing. I mean, the process. When you go to any jackpot show, you still do it. It's one at a time.
Right. No, and we still can, can still do the weight, but I'm just thinking trying to get everything done from, I don't know what time you're planning on starting the show, either the shows, but,
10 o'clock.
So get all, and if the steer show is starting, if you're going to do the steer show first, so that way, we can make sure that those animals are ready to go to the meat locker in plenty of time. You have people at 9 for weight.
Right, but my thing is too, at any of these other shows that you go to, and especially that you just declare a weight and you're already breaking it down into a spreadsheet. It can be done as soon as the last one comes off the scale, because all you're doing is putting them into a category. It's the same one that we're using.
Yeah, no, you know it way better than me. If we, and if we need to weigh, I think we can weigh. I just thought it'd be, one less step.
Yeah, it's a lot more time consuming to weigh, but if we're gonna go ahead and do this, I think you almost have to, because like I said, I mean, a state fair kid can obviously know that what his animal weighs, because they're probably weighing it every day to make sure that they declare it when they go down there. The problem is with the kid that just coming to a county fair, I mean, I don't, that's, how do you ask them to do that? Running across the scale and guess? I don't know.
I just don't know how we scale everything. You're looking at everybody that's down there to get it done, and we still have to think about the 6 foot distancing. There's there's not enough room. I don't think you can do it.
Not enough room or not enough time?
Both. It'd be hard on the time, but I just don't know if there's enough to keep everybody 6 feet away, which is kind of what everyone keeps saying we have to do. Is I think it'd be almost impossible to keep everybody 6 feet away and in a timely manner get 40 pigs through the scale.
I agree, but on the same respect that they do it at every jackpot show I go to, and they're dealing with 3 times as many hogs and all these steers that we're dealing with. But I mean,
So
that's
the 6 foot thing isn't a problem, because I would say the person reading the scale and the exhibitor every year is farther than 6 feet apart.
Yeah, I kind of like what Louisa is going by, what she just suggested. I mean, if you have one person, say Tina Edwards, I'm just going to throw her name out there. She knows pigs. It doesn't have to be her. But you get 1 or 2 people of that caliber that knows animals like that, and you go ahead and have them declare the weights, then you could probably do it. I just don't know that you have the exhibitor do it.
Right. I would support that. Is just have some person that understands the animals go down, and because basically you're just looking at categorizing between heavy and small, correct?
Heavy and lightweight, yeah.
Yeah, heavyweight and lightweight, and then breaking them down by pounds. Yeah, so you don't have so many in a class. So you're going on the pig end, you're going from 260 to 270, 280, 290. Steers, you're going heavyweight, lightweight, and it's anything below 1,000, and then 1,000 to 11 and a quarter, and then so on and so forth by 110-pound increments.
Right. So I would think that should be pretty simple to have, someone just look at everything and give a estimate to where they should be. I think that's a better idea than weighing them in.
Yep. Does everybody have their chat up so they could see Louisa's comment? Does everybody have chat up? Okay. Sam, can you capture that statement for the notes? Louisa's statement that she made there. I'm on board with that. I think that sounds like that'd be easier than weighing them all, and I think we get it done faster if you have a group of experts that are going to do that. They're going to have to understand that that's the way it is this year. I mean, nothing is normal this year. That's for sure. Ron, Martha, do you have a comment about the weighing?
The only thing that I was thinking is the more that I think about it, if we're doing somewhat of a learning experience for a kid, and maybe we can't this year, but it'd be fun to hey, kid, guess what's your steer's weight, and then pull it across the scale, if it's 1-on-1, or the pig or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, but the only thing is if you're already cutting it off and you're not using the scale and it's already tucked away, there's no point in getting the thing back out.
Right.
I like your idea, Scott. And then what Louisa had commented, the both of you, I think you do ask that of them, a couple people, and make them responsible for, and it might have to be the superintendents, I think. Your ideas on that?
Yeah, that sounds reasonable. Is everybody okay with that plan for the weight? Yay, Scott. Thumbs up. Can't see your thumbs, Deric and Troy, or Deric and Martha, sorry.
You got a thumbs
Ron?
up from me.
All right. Ron and Martha, you're okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Couldn't they weigh them on their way into the show ring?
The only problem with that, some of
Couldn't you
them
run
get
them
off
over a
that
scale
scale
and-
and they get all full of manure and stuff because all the sounds that it makes of the slamming of the door and everything. I just think it caused more anxiety on the animal.
And I think it'd be a little more dangerous too,
Well,
because some of
honestly,
that
this is
seems
gonna
to
be
be
a lot of
times where,
anxiety.
yeah, and where animals get really, I don't know, they go ballistic sometimes, coming off and on that scale. So I
So
think
can
it's
we
a lot
put
safer
that
to go.
into there? Oh, sorry. Can we put that in there, Deb, as the superintendents or the ones that declare weights? Is that something that you
Yep.
guys are all agreeing with?
Yep, I think so.
Okay.
I think we'll do that. I think that was a thumbs up from Scott and Ron, and
As long as,
we'll go with that.
as long as they feel comfortable doing it.
Yep.
I don't
Yeah.
make it a superintendent because they don't feel comfortable. Then maybe you would be a better one versus a superintendent or whatever.
I can walk with them too. Yep. Make it. Yep.
But
Yep.
someone just make sure that they feel comfortable doing it.
Yep.
All right. All right, sounds good. Are we done with the meat animal part then?
I hope so.
I sure would think so
Okay,
until we find stuff out more tonight. And I'll let
yeah,
you know tomorrow, Deb. So I guess you'll be on it with us tonight too. So
yeah, yeah. So for as far as the exotics, we have a few llamas that come, so that should be a very small show. Maybe we won't, I don't even know. Last year we had 2, I think, llamas. And the KVs and that type of stuff, we'll see what we get for those, but I think those will be, we can use the 17th and Main building or the old exhibit hall. I used to call it the red brick all the time. It's gray brick now. But we can use that building too for some of these judging for like the exotics, especially, or the KVs and the cats, if anybody, if they come to the cat show and stuff. So we do have that space available too, so that we can put those in there. All right. I guess the non-animal piece, I don't know if we finished with that, other than I will do the follow-up with KT on what her thoughts are as far as keeping the exhibits quarantined, and then we'll set the schedule after we find out from her for as far as the judging piece is. Anything else that people have?
I guess my only question is that when are we going to be able to find out at the soonest? By next week, you think, to let these kids know what's going on as far as when the project's going to be judged, or we're waiting for our following meeting?
No, I think I'll find out from KT. Hopefully she'll respond right away tomorrow, and I can send an email out and if she's fine with it not being quarantined, then are we okay with moving ahead with this? Martha, do you think you have enough time for project drop-off Monday and Tuesday?
That's gonna depend on how many exhibits there are. I don't know. It's been
There'll be-
getting smaller and smaller every year.
Mm-hmm.
I think there'll be less exhibits this year too.
I agree. Unless they've, been working on them because they can't do anything else.
Nah.
But
Well,
I
just
think you're right.
personally- Right, our kids aren't bringing as many as they have in the past.
Okay. We need to get going on these days so we can tell the judges when to come in. So,
Yes.
and Sam can do her
Well,
job.
I'll find out about that quarantine.
Yes, that's our first step, is to find that out. If that's not a problem and we can move ahead with that, are you okay with, is everybody okay with that schedule? Animals won't be more till the weekend, so it'll probably be all hands on deck helping with this piece of it. We can, that building is big enough that we could take entry exhibits on both ends as a drop-off piece, one on the east end, the west end at the doors. And, we can instruct them to bring their stuff in a box or whatever, so we can easily take their box from them and then, check it in as soon as we get the chance to, or the time.
How are kids gonna get fair tags?
They can pick them up when they bring their exhibits. So we can have the fair office, we can keep it locked, and with the glass window that we have there, we could pass out the tags that day. So as they're waiting in cars, they could send somebody to the window and we could hand the tickets out through the window. Otherwise, we can mail them. And that maybe is the cleanest way. It's going to cost a little bit more, but it's probably going to be the easiest way to get them to them. Martha, did you have a question? Nope. She was.
No, I don't know. I think mailing it is, that way it's in hand. It would be the way to go.
Yep.
I think it's gonna be chaos.
With them coming in and stuff. It'd be a lot easier if we could mail them ahead of time.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
all right.
Because when can we sign up for fair projects? Is that the 13th? Was it?
We were going to open it on the 15th of June, but it's ready to go. We could open it this weekend, actually. We have everything done. The reason we were holding off is in case this all blew up and that we decided that we weren't moving through with any of this. If we hadn't opened it up to the kids to use, the fee that we paid to have that program would roll over to 2021. So that's why we held off. Typically, we open it up in May. So that's why it was held off. But we're fine if we can certainly open it up to get kids
I think
started.
we need to open it up and let's see how many kids are coming.
Okay.
Maybe some
can
of
do that.
all these plans just won't need to happen because there's just nobody coming.
I agree.
I'll need to know if we're going to tell everybody that it's open. I'll definitely need to be able to answer the questions with at least an outline of the schedule or how it's going to work. And for sure, I need to know if the tags are being mailed or picked up. So if we could make that decision before I announce that it's
Let's
open,
mail the
I think
tag.
people are going to hit me with like a lot of questions.
Okay, I think mailed is the only way. That'd
Mail
be the
the
easiest
tags.
way. We'll just mail them. Yeah. And we can mail them, we have an account with the county. I mean, we have our postage account so it goes to L&M, so it's not quite as expensive as mailing them first class, so. Everybody okay with mailing the tags? Thumbs up?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right.
And if they have questions, just
When
say
am I
the
saying it's
fair is
open?
still going to be at the same time frames.
Okay. When am I telling them it's open? Are we going with the June 15th or this weekend or what?
I can open it up starting tomorrow. I can schedule it so that it opens. And like Deb said, I was just kind of waiting to see if there was any changes with the health department that were coming in this week before we opened it.
And I do, even if you mail them, Sam, you'll still have to be at that window. I mean, remembering how it usually goes, there'll be mistakes or lost tags or something. So, but if we could mail them, that would keep a lot fewer people from crowding. And I think that's what we're trying to, you know, keep from happening.
Right.
And sadly, everybody misses each other so much that if they saw each other on the sidewalk, it's especially hard with little kids, you know, to keep them understanding why they have to stay separate. So if we could just kind of engineer as many of these places that are like this to not be like that, I think that would really help. So you want me to get an email out tomorrow to tell people that fair entry will be open? Or do you want me to say it'll open Saturday? What, in case something goes wrong, Sam?
I made all
easy
the I made all the corrections and everything is completely set to go. I had it done earlier this week or over the weekend. So I'll just set it to open tomorrow and it'll be good to go.
Yeah.
So here's just, I don't mean to take up time on the meeting, but I just want to point out that I'm going to have to send all, like, normally when we open fair entry, Michelle and I get like lots and lots of questions. So if we open it on a Friday, that means people are going to have questions over the weekend. Might it be better to wait until Monday, because you're going to end up with all of those this year, since it's not a 4-H fair? I'm still trying to wrap my head around how we can be having a fair where everybody gets to go, but they're not, like, we say they're in 4-H, that's the qualifier to get in, but then once they're there as individuals. So I'm not sure, like,
right.
I guess I'm not 100% clear on what our role will be this year.
Yeah, and feel free to, unless it's a 4-H question, like 4-H online, like somebody's questioning how come they can't enter into a project, you know, if you know, send them our way. We can handle them or send the emails or whatever, because the only questions we can't answer is how come they aren't able to pull that project up because of through 4-H online or through fair entry. Because if they didn't enroll right in 4-H online, they're not going to be able to do that. So I was looking at the calendar. What is Monday? Monday is the 15th. So maybe we just do a soft opening tomorrow and see what happens. We're ready to go with it. Kids that find out don't put your stuff out, we can post it on Facebook, and then you wait up with your email until Monday, Louisa.
Sounds good. I'll take that.
Typically, how long does it take to judge all the non-animal stuff? Like, can it all be done and judged in 2 days?
It's typically judged in 1 day, Scott.
In a day.
Yeah.
That's why I was just asking, you know, because we've been talking about a schedule. So can we just say that it's going to be dropped off Monday, Tuesday, and judged Wednesday, Thursday? So that stuff, because if it does have to sit 2 days, so stuff dropped off Monday will be judged Wednesday, and then Tuesday stuff will be Thursday, and that way we can just have a schedule no matter what happens, so people don't ask.
Yep. And that's what I was hoping to do, is we stick with that schedule and do Monday and Tuesday drop off, and exactly what you said there. So. Good suggestion, Scott. Any other questions, thoughts?
So you're going to send out a tentative schedule is what you're thinking, Louisa?
Yeah.
I'd like to have that confirmed, actually. Thank you for asking that. It would be as much detail as we can give without boxing ourselves into a corner. and I leave that to the fair board, but I'm happy to message that out to our 4-H families. They have been very patient, and they all want to know, of course, what so.
Okay, so well, let's just, is everybody okay with using the Wednesday, Thursday as judging days, Monday, Tuesday drop off, and then we can change the pickup date to Friday, Saturday, unless we want to wait till the next week. So we don't have so many people there when we're having animal shows.
Agreed.
All right, we'll change that one until the following week. So,
I would disagree. Sometimes it's nice just to get it picked up and be done with it versus dragging it on to the next week. You know, personally, I would rather come in on Friday or Saturday or Sunday, whatever day, and get it done with versus having to wait till the next week and trying to remember about it and not scheduling other activities.
I guess the only day you have is Sunday to do so. Otherwise, you're going to have too many people there, I'm afraid.
yeah, that's what I was worried about. Although, you know, if you have animal people there, that they'll probably want to pick their stuff up. Martha, did you have a comment? You unmuted yourself.
Well, one thing that we got to remember that I may not be able to get all this time off to be there at the fair because of all these changes. My summer job has changed drastically as to what it normally is. So I might not be available to always be there for those 2 days and then push it back those other days. So we have to make sure that somebody's around to do all this.
Mm-hmm. Okay. When will you know your schedule, Martha?
I'm not available on Monday, and I don't know if I'm available on Tuesday.
Okay.
I guess that's going to have to kind of lay on Cheyenne then, and all the superintendents.
Yep.
Which is why we need to see how many projects we actually end up with. Maybe it's completely unnecessary.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. Are you available on Wednesday and Thursday that week, though, if we do the judging then?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Deb, I'm going to make you type
Okay.
this up for me so that I have notes all over the place and I keep crossing off which day different things are happening. I want to make sure I don't give the wrong impression to our families because I think people are stressed enough. So I'm going to wait for confirmation on kind of what the outline of the schedule is. We don't need exact times, but if we know, for instance, that we're doing Wednesday, Thursday for non-animal project judging. We haven't really talked about cats other than they might be in the corner building, but we've got cats, rabbits, poultry, exotics. Those are all animals,
Yeah.
but maybe they don't go on the same busy days as the beef, swine, sheep, and goats.
Right.
Yeah, Tuesday we talked about for the rabbit and Wednesday was a poultry, but we were waiting for a confirmation of how many we're going to have.
Right. So.
And that's another question, if I can just raise another question. So I asked Sam about when we would be closing fair entry, and she said she has it scheduled for July 10th. Do we want to maybe close it a little earlier, just make the window shorter for registering, and then you'll know how many people you're dealing with since we're doing it so differently this year? Would that be helpful for, especially Martha, to know how many projects we're looking at? I kind of feel like there's a lot of pent up energy. So if we tell people you have X number of weeks, get it done fast, get them through fair entry, and then you'll have your answer. Or is there like a
Okay.
legal thing? It has to be open a certain number of weeks.
Nope,
I don't know.
not at all. Well, we can close it back like we used to on July 1st. Okay, we can, is that okay with everybody? We change it to July 1st?
What did we originally tell people? Anything?
We haven't told them yet. We typically leave it open till the 10th. And then we print the tags
I
that
know
weekend and people.
July 1st. Sorry. July 1st was a problem when we did it that way in 2018. I don't know if you remember that, because it's a holiday week and a lot of people were gone, including a lot of my, like I think I was gone that week. And I think it just left things to Michelle, but now that we're pushing people your direction, you should also think about that. If it's a holiday
Yep.
week, like Sam, will you be there to
Yeah.
answer the phone? Because you'll get a lot of questions right at the end.
Right. It helps with the 4th being on Saturday this year. So the 1st is on a Wednesday. I don't know, Sam, what do you think? Was it on the 29th? That's Monday. Okay. Changed it to the 29th. If that's okay with the rest.
I think you have to. I mean, if people are gonna go ahead and we might not get our tags ordered in time, so I think it's a good idea.
Okay, we'll do that. Okay. Deric, if you want to give some thought to those exotics and the kiwis and the cats, none of those are very big shows. And I would think we could, and we'll know, you know, especially with exotics, I'm, you know, typically we get llamas and we've had a few, I don't even know if we had any iguanas or fish last year. I don't remember exactly. I guess we could pull it back up, but
We usually
We
get a
had,
few
you know,
like cavies or hamsters. Yeah, stuff like
Yeah.
that. And that's all
Yep.
put in with the vet science.
With vet science at the same time they judge. So that judge usually can judge those. So why don't we kind of try to set that date? I would think we would want to do it either Wednesday or Thursday when we have those non-animal projects judged, because they can be in the barn across the street.
I agree. Yeah, we have so much space this year to use. So
Yeah,
I think
right.
that'd be just fine.
Yep.
Pick
Oh.
a date.
Okay. Okay. How about, let's see, we don't have animals coming in until later. Or the bigger animals, larger animals. So how about we use like, oh, we did Tuesday. How about exotics on Thursday? And I think cavies we could do the same day. And then Sam can do her vet science on Thursday. Would that work, Sam?
Do it all on on Thursday.
Well, we could do, if we think we don't have the space for it, we could do the cavies on, well, I guess it wouldn't matter because it goes along with vet science. Usually the vet science judge judges the cavies. So whatever day you want to do vet science.
Yeah, I'd say do it all on Thursday since it all kind of goes together.
Okay. All right, let's do that.
And I'm assuming there will be no clover bud stuff this year then, correct?
No, there could be clover buds because they would have static. They don't have any animals that they bring. So they would not get they would not get the opportunity to talk to the judge. There would just be an exhibit.
Okay.
So, but I feel that we could include them, but they missed that whole experience of talking to the judge. But
Correct.
okay.
Are we still planning on having the judges' reasons, Deb? Are we still planning
Reasons,
on
you-
having the judges record reasons? Sorry, I think my internet sucks here.
I have to say, we lost you.
Did you hear my question? Okay.
No.
I'm going to type it in chat.
Okay. Bear with us. She's typing it.
Do you mean, Louisa, like why they got the certain colored ribbon? Or are you talking judging results?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I would suggest for that, like,
I guess that's,
I was gonna say, I would suggest for like, if they have a reason why they gave them a down, like a pink ribbon versus something higher, they could just write it on the back of their entry tag and they wouldn't need anything more than that. And then I think we decided too for the judging results, that's all going to be done on paper as well, right?
You mean entering it into like fair entry or
Yeah, like we'll
not
have
using the
this.
tablet?
Yeah, like the superintendents were gonna record it all on paper, and then it would come up to the office, and I would take care of entering all that.
We can do that, or we can still research and see what we can do with the tablets. I just didn't want to rent laptops this year. I thought that was kind of, it gets to, if we have to keep them there a few days, we could use, and we're staggering it the way we are. We almost should be able to get by with those tablets that we have.
Will drop off of projects be scheduled, like by that you have an appointment, or is it just going to be whenever people show up?
We could do it either way. I thought possibly once we know more how the alphabet breaks out, you could say like A through D, but then you're going to run into people that are working and can't make it during that time. So I don't know. Does anybody have any strong opinions one way or the other on those?
I guess I'm just wondering why anything else they got to stay in their car as a line. I mean, that's maybe how we're going to have to do it. You can come and drop it off from this hour to this hour. It's just the fact that you might have to stay in your car until that person left, and that way you're not breaking it out and running into problems.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I agree. I think, I don't know that we want to, I don't know if anybody else has any strong feelings. What were your thoughts, Scott? I can understand where you're thinking that's going to be a long, a long wait for probably some people, but.
I didn't care either way. It was just, I know people are, they might ask or whatever. I guess.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't matter. You show up whenever you can and you stay in your car. And I would think it's probably best if someone actually comes out and would take all the projects so that everyone does stay in their car. So that way there isn't kids running around.
Yeah, that's a thought. Yep. Okay. Any other comments, thoughts? Mr. Bartlett, can I ask you a question? Just,
Yes, I'll try to answer it.
I'm sure you can. Since executive committee was a in-person meeting, I'm just curious to know how the vote went for the racing contract. I tried to text Mark today and he didn't respond back. So I don't know if that meant bad news or good news on his part.
Well, the racing contract didn't have to be voted on at exec.
No, I mean, not the contract, but whether or not they could hold the races. Let me rephrase that.
It goes straight to county board. It was
Oh, okay.
discussion only at exec, and I think everybody agreed that that decision should go to the full county board.
Okay.
And I think that's why facilities committee moved it on as much as anything. My personal feeling was if they would have had to decide at facilities whether they could have it or not, the vote might have went the other way. But I think a lot of people feel it should go to the full board, so that's where it's going.
All right. Thank you. I was just curious because that is they're partners with us. So for the rest of you, that was the Racing Association is trying to open up the races and start racing on June 15th. And they had presented a proposal to the facilities committee the other night, or a couple weeks ago already. And then last night or Tuesday night, then they had a special facilities committee meeting to vote on that. So that'll be at the county board meeting in about a week.
Yes, next Wednesday night.
Yep. So that we know what happens there. That was more of a curiosity question. Thank you. And to keep the rest of the board in case somebody asks about it. Because I know I've been asked, well, how come you canceled the fair, but racing's now trying to move forward? Well, it's a whole different thing because we have a lot more to deal with than what they did with all of the other events that go on. And I have, I don't want to say any opinion either way that I think they should or shouldn't, but they don't have a carnival and they don't have food stands and they don't have commercial exhibits and so forth. So it is a little bit different. So thank you for answering the question. So is there any other business to be brought? On the 2020 plan? Okay, Friends of the Fair, Kathy's not on. Fair Board appointments, I don't think we have any unless somebody has a name to bring forward. Next meeting, 2 weeks. By that time, hopefully we'll have people entering. Let's see, I gotta go back to June here. The 25th of June.
When will the next, can we just schedule for like July 1st? So that way it's the day after fair entry so we know what's going on?
So it would be July 1st we were closing it. So then that would be on July 2nd. Is that okay with everybody or does everybody think they have questions? Is that fine with everybody?
Yeah, I guess if you're gonna have any questions with judges and all that, Sam we can just talk through all that, right? And we don't really need the whole committee.
No, exactly.
Then
okay, so the next
I'm
meeting,
okay with it. Yep.
That's fine.
Okay. What, Martha?
That's fine.
Okay.
Could it be an in-person meeting so it's a little bit easier?
I sure hope so. We'll see how if the county opens up their buildings. I guess we'll have to wait till the 26th. So maybe that's okay because I think that's the deadline was the 26th of June. So maybe it's good we are waiting till July 2nd. So if nothing else, we'll socially distance and wear face masks or whatever and sit 6 feet apart out in a circle in the parking lot. So, all right. If there's nothing else, meeting's adjourned then until July 2nd. All right.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank Thank you all.
Have a good night.
Have a good rest of the week.
Good night.
Good night.
So do you think